cricket is just such a big passion of mine that I make time for it, and yeah, I wouldn't ever give it up.
Hello and welcome to episode number 6 of the second season of All Things Cricket by the 12th Man. We have with us a very special guest today, a member of the Hong Kong women's cricket team, a London-based lawyer, and the founder of the platform Associate Women in Cricket, which has constantly worked towards increasing popularity of women playing cricket in associate nations. All of these together, that's a very dynamic personality, and we have with us Yasmin Daswani. Thank you so much for joining us, Yasmin. How are you?
I'm great, thanks, and really nice to be on the show. I'm a big fan.
Thank you so much. So, is it a busy day for you at work today? I'm pretty sure you have a lot of things to do other than your cricket.
Yeah, so today's we've got a hearing coming up with work, so a court hearing. I think I mentioned to you, and I've rescheduled this a couple of times, which I'm really sorry about. But yeah, so we're really heads down working towards this hearing, which is interesting as well because I've had a lot of cricket the last couple of days. So trying to balance the two, I think, talking about that it's never been more important than it is at the moment, especially when you've got big deadlines, like you've got a lot of competing priorities. But cricket is just such a big passion of mine that I make time for it, and yeah, I wouldn't ever give it up.
I understand that, but there is a lot of people who talk about working while understanding your passion, but not a lot of people who are actually able to do it. So if you just quickly get into how you manage being a lawyer, how you manage being a cricketer while you also run your Associate Women in Cricket, which of course requires a lot of dedication too.
I think, well, I'm very lucky because my firm are so they're so receptive to me playing cricket. They're really, really supportive. I wouldn't have been able to do it without them. So, I mean, I had a tournament in Dubai earlier this year in November. My firm were just kind of like, yes, we've got big deadlines coming up, but if it's important to you, we'll make it work. And similarly, I went to Oman then in in January this year. And again, my firm and especially my head of department has just been incredibly supportive. And that's just so invaluable. I think he's seen me work very hard for the firm over the past couple of years. I think I've been lucky as well because at the beginning of my career, it was during the pandemic, so I guess all my cricketing commitments there wasn't as much to do with cricket. So you still had your fitness that you were doing, but we weren't traveling around for games or anything like that. So I really did have my head down at that really important time when I was training. And then things have started opening up again, and I think I'm a lot better at my job now than I was obviously 2 years ago. So I'm better at knowing how long things are going to take me realistically, like managing expectations, telling people when I can get things done. So that means that I can schedule things a lot better than I could previously. And that means, yes, I can fit cricket in as well. But yeah, you have to just be very, very organized and disciplined.
Yeah. I mean, hearing that makes you realize it. And that's one very important takeaway, right at the start of this episode. Manage things well and you'll be able to follow your passion and work along this at the same time, right?
Yeah, I think most people wouldn't say that I guess the pandemic was good for their career, but in my case I think it was.
Yeah. I mean, I understand we had an off the recording chat about it as well, and we'll get to it in a while. But before that, I'll take you to cricket in Hong Kong. And other than that, cricket in associate nations as well, because you're in a better point to answer it from a general perspective as well. How do these teams come up, and the factors that can take it up? There's a lot of talk about equalizing associate cricket with the permanent playing nations. How do you actually do that from the perspective of someone who's in there?
I mean, with associate cricket, so the biggest issue is like you have people like me or people who are semi-professionals trying to balance a career alongside playing cricket. So that's the biggest, I think it's a hindrance in a lot of ways, because you see once people become fully professional how good they become. And a lot of associate countries now are fully professional. So for countries like Hong Kong or places like I think there are a few others like China, they're not fully contracted, they're not fully professional. And so then you're competing against countries that are becoming fully professional. And that's a huge challenge because you're kind of on an unequal playing field there a little bit. But I guess that's just a challenge that we deal with. I mean, we're all very passionate. We all work really, really hard, and we do it for each other because you know that it kind of is chicken and egg in a lot of ways. I mean, you don't get the funding until you perform, and you don't perform until you put in the hard work and you make sacrifices. So yeah, I think that's the biggest challenge for cricketers. And I think, yeah, funding is so dependent on performance. So you can go into a game and you can know that, you know, if you win the game, if you win the tournament, it will mean probably a lot more funding. But if you lose it, you know, then it's heartbreaking. You're doubly heartbreaking because it means you have to wait another potentially 2 years, 3 years for the next opportunity to go in again. And I think that was something that we felt really badly this tournament because we came so close. So we lost to the top team by 11 runs. And I think everyone was devastated by that. But in terms of, pushing it forward, I think just getting it professional. So getting people paid properly for playing. I think that's the way to move it forward.
I get it. And we often talk about high pressure games, semi-finals, finals. But one thing we fail to realize is, like you said, the chicken and egg, you perform, then you get the funding. So for most of the teams, associate teams playing cricket, every match in that case becomes a high pressure scenario for all of the players. And that's absolutely something that needs to change. And that, I feel, comes a lot from raising awareness as well as to how to take the game forward with associate cricketers. And that's one thing you've been doing really well. I'll take you to Associate Women in Cricket. A bit from you as to what was the idea behind forming it. What motive do you wish to achieve using this platform?
I think it was quite similar to what you said about the 12th man. So I had some time in between finishing my studies and starting with my law career. I had a year out before I started, and I think I was playing lots of cricket, but I wanted something challenging to do outside of playing as well. So it was like International Women's Day. I thought, actually, I'm going on tour, I'm going on tour so often. I meet all these incredible people from different countries who've got different stories, who are all facing their own challenges with playing cricket. So it just started with me and my camera phone, speaking to some of them, recording them, talking to me about, what cricket is like in their country. Because we know they play, but we don't know anything else about it. We don't know, how many teams do they have? What's the structure like? How easy is it to get to training? How is everybody balancing studies? Like, are parents supportive? There's so many factors in there. And it all depends culturally as well. Like, culturally, it's so different between the different countries. So I just started like that. I was just in the hotels, with different cricketers, speaking to them about their journeys. And I thought, actually, I want to share this wider than just for my own interest. I think other people might be interested in this too. And I guess, like, longer term, it might help with funding as well. So, like, the more awareness people have of it, hopefully, we can wait for bodies like the ICC to kind of bring funding to it, or we can go after it ourselves. And that's something that I think longer term I'd like to look into, whether we can actually start being really proactive with it and pushing it forward as well ourselves.
That's actually very interesting, and some of these interviews I have also listened to. So it is actually solving that purpose. And a lot of cricketers that being a fan of cricket, there's a lot of cricket I watch, but still there's a lot of cricketers you don't get to hear about often. So that purpose is definitely being fulfilled. And I hope this keeps going forward for a long time, actually. And on that note, I'd also like to ask you if there's any upcoming opportunities or upcoming events that would help associate cricketers to move forward, and any such places or any such things that you'd like to cover as well.
Yeah, so I think we discussed briefly, but there's a tournament coming up called Fairbreak. So it's coming up in May 2022, and that's in Dubai. And I think it's the first tournament of its kind. It's an incredible opportunity for associate players to play on a playing field with, legends of the game. So people like Jamima Rodriguez. There's going to be players from England as well. So Danny Wyatt, Heather Knight, Sana Mir from Pakistan. These are all people that we all look up to. We try to model our games on. And so to be able to play against them or to be playing with them I mean, it's both awe-inspiring, a little bit scary, and just an incredible, exciting opportunity. And I mean, they're all so willing to help. Like, I've been lucky enough to meet some of them, and they're all willing to like share their experiences, to like teach you as well. So it's not just like highly competitive, but from my experience, they're willing to help as well. And I just think it'll be invaluable. It just shows you kind of, it's a glimpse into the future, because I don't think women's cricket is quite there yet. But I mean, the guys who are organizing it, so Sean Martin, Ramasamy Venkatesh, they're just doing an incredible job for women's cricket. And I'm so grateful that they've decided to organize something like this.
That's
I know a
actually
lot of
one thing.
work's gone into it.
Yeah, that's actually one thing I've heard before as well. So we had an episode with Catherine Rice from Scotland, and she actually talked about this as well, as to women's cricket and especially associate women's cricketers. They have a stronger network per se, and that eventually helps in moving the sport forward in associate nations. You'd agree to that, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's just such a small network as well. Like, you go to games and you've got the same people at games, like, fathers with their daughters or mothers with their daughters, like bringing the youngsters to every single game, and you just see the same faces, because it is, even though obviously a lot of people play cricket, like women's cricket in particular, it just feels like a family. It's really close knit. People with passion for it really do have such a strong sense of passion. So it's incredible to see like this beginning stages, and I think female cricketers haven't quite reached that level of superstardom that male cricketers have, where they're like almost unreachable, and like to the general public, like they're not really available to talk. But women's cricketers, like, you go out with them. I went out with Danny Wyatt around London. Like, it's not like you're getting accosted at every stop or like at every coffee shop. It's a lot more humble in a lot of ways, because there's not this crazy superstardom, and they're just they're really approachable and so helpful and lovely.
We all hope the superstardom comes with the approachability stays, the balance should be. And
exactly.
Yeah, and I think all of these fans of cricket who are watching this, we know a tournament that we should be looking forward to. Definitely do watch it. And now, on that note, I'd like to take you to some cricketing discussions that we could relate with, perhaps your interest in the sport, and quick few questions. So I'll start with the cricketing tournament that you follow the most, or that you look forward to the most in the year.
Big Bash, women's Big Bash.
Okay.
The standard is just amazing. I mean, Australia are just leading the way with women's cricket. Yeah. They're almost untouchable in the sport. I mean, I know that England and like other countries have challenged them, but I do think that they're very, very good. So I do love watching them, like watching the up and coming talent. There's just so many talented cricketers within it.
Absolutely. So what's your favorite team?
Perth Scorchers. But I mean, it's I don't really have an affinity to any team, but it's just like the players that I like. That's kind of how I choose it. The teams that I like, the ones that you enjoy watching fighting.
Yep, I understand. So like you said, the players that you enjoy watching, you actually took me to my next question. I was going to ask you the few names that come to your mind, sort of like a rapid fire, the male cricketers and the female cricketers that you love watching the most, and if there's any specific reason for that.
I like watching Steve Smith, because he's a different kind of batter. So he's not the orthodox, like, the way he plays, it's not orthodox. Like, he's got a completely different style. So that's actually really awesome to watch, because, you look at your batting. I think you're your own worst critique. Like, you watch yourself batting, shadow bat, and you're like, that doesn't look quite right. That doesn't look quite right. I don't look like, you're always tweaking it. But actually, then you look at players who are really successful, and some of them don't have like that ideal technique that you would say is beautiful to watch or perfect. And so, yeah, I like watching him, because it's a reminder that you don't need to strive for that perfection with technique. What people say is perfection with technique actually can be very, very effective playing your own natural style, and to some extent. In terms of female cricketers, I mean, so I really admire players who play fearless cricket. It's something that I'm trying to work towards. I think my role in a team has always been more of like the mainstay batter. Like, I bat long, but I love watching players like Shafali Verma Danny Wyatt, who just seem to have this fearless mentality.
Yeah.
They go out there and they just hit the ball as hard as they can, and it's incredible. And I want to be like them. So yeah, it's a constant, like, yeah, I'm working towards that, especially in T20 cricket. That's the way that, that's the way it works.
Yeah, this is the way the game has been moving forward. And these names you take, Shefali Verma and Danny Wyatt, they've had tremendous success doing this as well. So it makes a lot of sense. So I'll take you to the next one I had. Your funniest experience on or off the field related to cricket.
My friend and I, so my best friend, Mariko Hill, so she's one of my best friends on the Hong Kong team. A lot of the funniest stories stem from when we were kids and we were on tour, because I think we just were a bit like loose cannon, we thought we were really funny. We probably weren't. We were probably just really annoying. Like doing all these random things. Like we used to play pranks on the older members of our team. So we were the babies of the team. Yeah. And we used to try and play pranks all the time on the older members. And like put glasses of water, lots and lots of glasses of water outside their doors. Like we're just really annoying, basically. But yeah, it's funny to think back on, and how we've grown up. Our friendships really evolved and grown as we've got older. But I still have really fond memories of us as kids as well.
I'm sure that must be a really good feeling to have your best friend with you playing and pulling off those pranks with her. So I'm sure you must
and she's
a lot. Yeah.
And she's just an incredible person in general. I mean, she's just got she's just so talented. Like, she's an amazing cricketer. She's also amazing in her job. So she's somebody as well who just balances her career alongside cricket, and she's just such a valuable person to have. Like, whenever I've got anything that I need to talk about, she's always there. And it's incredible to have that, both in a personal capacity and in like your professional capacity. Like, we just understand each other. She's really bright. She's always like looking for new ideas. Like, she'll come to me and be like, let's teach each other. So when we were in gym sessions, she used to come to me and be like, let's teach each other a new fact each day, because we were training together. We wanted to keep ourselves mentally stimulated as well. So we teach each other about random things, about like, why we have dreams, what do we dream about, or, about health, fitness, gut well-being. It's incredible to have somebody like that.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of praise you have for her within these 2-3 minutes says a lot about the bond you share. And I'm pretty sure it's good to have her as your best friend, as your teammate, and all of those capacities too.
Yeah.
Right. So I'll take you to my next question. A similar one, not funniest. I was going to ask your favorite memory related to the sport. Can be a match, can be you playing in your childhood, anything of that sort that comes to your head.
I think, I guess like you'd always go to winning moments with cricket, because those are incredible. So one of my earliest experiences of a really high pressure game that we won was one against Thailand. I think it was 2010, an ACC tournament. So it was Hong Kong versus Thailand. And Thailand now are incredible. I don't know if you've seen their like meteoric rise within the sport, but back then it was very, very tight. And we came out on top. It went down to the last ball. I think they needed like 3 to win off the last ball or something. And I remember the girl bowling it. She was like a youngster. She was under 18, like bowling the final ball. All of us, like, we were all kids and we were all like really nervous, but we just really wanted to win as well. And yeah, she bowled the last ball really well. Bowled, I think, a dot, and yeah, we won the match, and it was an awesome experience. Like, one of the first tastes of victory. And actually coming on top in a tournament.
Yeah, that's quite a memory to remember. And if you're winning those matches, you always seem to remember them, like you said.
Yeah.
So before we come to a close, there's still a couple of things I want to ask you, taking you back to developing cricket in associate nations. If let's just say some young budding women cricketer from an associate nation is watching you speak, your 2-bit advice to that person as to how you come up the ranks and how you contribute to the sport in your own way.
Yeah, I mean, there's no shortcut with hard work. I think the best people, I mean, we talk a lot about natural talent. I don't actually know if I believe in that. I think a lot of it is just hard work. Like, you look at a person, you look at a cricketer, you look at a snapshot of them playing in a specific game, but you don't see all the hard work that goes into that, the hours and hours, years and years of training, like practicing that shot, shadow batting, all that sort of thing, like mentally preparing for it, visualizing it in their heads. And I think so you just work really hard, trust that your hard work is going to pay off, because I think sometimes it feels like it's not, sometimes it feels like you're not improving, sometimes certain things take a lot longer than others to get good at, but just trust the process. Like, trust that if you just keep working hard, like obviously you need to be smart with the way you work as well, so work with your coaches, like listen to your coaches, like listen to people who have a lot of experience in getting players to where they want to be, and just enjoy it. I mean, now is such an exciting time to be in women's cricket. There's so many opportunities now for women's cricketers that I didn't have when I was younger, and yeah, I think it's a great time to be coming to the sport. They're amazing role models within it, so yeah, reach out to people and enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, that sort of summarizes everything that you need to do. And from someone who has done it, it makes a lot of more sense to hearing it. So I'll take you to my final question. This is something I've asked every guest who's been on the show. If you had to tell me what cricket means to you in one word, what would it be?
Passion.
Passion. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all of the questions that I had. If there's anything you'd want to give out to your fans listening to this show, or anybody who's to any audience member of the show, anything from your end at all?
No, I think thanks so much, Adwal. Like, yeah, keep doing what you're doing. It's an incredible thing that you're doing. And you said as well, alongside being a software engineer, so that's awesome as well. And I'd love to hear more about that. But yeah, thanks to everybody for listening, and hopefully stay tuned, and definitely tune into Fairbreak as well, because we'll see you there.
Definitely. Thank you so much for being here. It's been such a good experience to talk to you, and I'm sure the fans will enjoy it as much as I did talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.